Hey everybody, here we are, starting right on time like a good Swiss person always does. Someone here? We're going to be joined soon by Kathi from Boem, Atelier Boem in Germany. She should be here in a minute joining us, and we'll just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Questions you have about leatherworking or getting started in leatherworking, experiences. Oh, here's Kathi now.
Hi.
Hello, how are
Hi,
you?
everyone. So this worked.
Yeah, first time for me. How about you?
Oh, it's already 70 people. So many. Hi, everyone.
Okay, good.
Good,
Like my
good.
face is too close. There we go.
I know. I'm a little sideways, but that's the construction I came up with. So we
It's
have
all right. It's
we
all
have
right.
to deal with it.
So how are you doing?
I am blushing a little.
You can't
I'm a
see it.
little nervous, but also excited. This is like something I've never done before. But it's good that we're doing this together. That feels a little more comfortable.
Exactly. It's safe.
Yeah. And good that you choose the nice wall.
Of course.
Yeah. I had to go downstairs because the Wi-Fi connection in my atelier is not as good. So I'm in my living room.
Okay. Yeah, I debated whether to do it at home or in the atelier, but I thought I'll make the trek into the atelier today and shoot in front of the wall.
Yeah. Do you catch what people are saying?
No, actually, that's what I'm wondering how we're gonna see the questions because they go by super fast in this format. I only see like the bottom two.
I have so many. Hi, ciao. Hello from Paris. Hi, Paris. Okay. Just quickly. It's what was the gold croc you progressed in how long? Wait. Anyways.
Oh wait, hold on. I think I've got it. Sorry,
It was-
everyone. We're like a bit retarded here.
It's okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay, the gold croc you got yesterday. How long would it take me to learn to make a nice wallet? Hi, Sean, by the way. Yeah, well, I guess what format are we going to do here? Are we going to like answer questions now, or do you want to chat a little bit first and then? Well, I'll answer Sean's first since I started that. But as my students know, you can learn how to do something like that within the week that you're training with me. So really, the main thing is you got to learn the basics of saddle stitching, edge finishing, creasing, pricking, holes, all that. Once you learn and know how to do those things, then you can pretty much make anything. It's not like every different thing you want to make is a whole new set of skills you have to learn. Once you learn these basic 4 things and you master them, then you can do your imagination is your limit.
Yeah.
So
The sky is the limit.
good. Exactly. So which brings us to you, Kathi. How did you get started leatherworking, actually? I don't think we talked about this when you were here training. Or we probably did, but I probably forgot.
Yeah, I was just going to say it, we did, but it's all right. I'm actually a trained technical designer and pattern maker. So I have the fashion production background.
Okay.
And I never really had anything to do with leather crafting in my studies or, during my school. And then when I was employed full-time in 2016, I was looking for a creative outlet for myself. And the story behind my atelier and why it is called Boem is because my grandpa used to be a very crafty, super passionate craftsman, and he had his own studio where he did leather work, but he also painted and he also did like sculptures made of wood. So he was super talented, and he passed away in 2009 and inherited his studio to my mom and me. And we only got to actually make use of it in 2016, so quite a long time passed. And yeah, I was just one day I was saying, Mom, like we have this whole studio, like why don't we check it out and see what's going on? And he had all of the tools. He had a sewing machine, he had leather there, so it was just a no-brainer to get started. And then I took it as a hobby for about a year, and just doing it on the weekends and for fun. And then at one point I realized I need someone to help me get a bit more professional. And then we did a traditional saddlery course in Portugal in 2017, my mom and I together. And that's when it got a little more serious, and we moved the old studio to Hamburg. And then another year later, 2 years later, was when I went to take the course with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So
great.
That's a long story.
It slowly came back to me, especially the part of your grandfather's atelier and you guys kind of inheriting it and discovering it. That's a super cool story.
Yeah.
So
his name was Paul Boem.
Okay.
And that's why the atelier is named after him, Boem.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So when you decided to come visit and train with me, what were your biggest concerns?
That I would mess up a lot and that I wouldn't pick up quickly enough. But basically, like, I wasn't really concerned. I was just super excited, and I kind of knew that seeing you having the other students and all of the great work you're doing, I kind of knew that it would be fun and great and a great experience.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone has always the same exact fears when they come, that they're not going to be able to pick up what I'm teaching them quickly, or they're not going to do it as good as I expect them to do it. And I always try to reassure people on the first day, like, look, just, you're doing actually fantastic. Everyone has these same fears. Don't stress about it. And I always promise them, by the end of the first day, you will know how to saddle stitch perfectly. It's just a matter of practice to make it really, really, really perfect. And everyone does. So it's easy to do. I think I'm probably more nervous than most of the students when they come.
And that's so nice that when you told me that you're also nervous, I really felt more comfortable, actually.
Yeah, I always feel like a lot of pressure on me, like, because of course people are spending a lot of money to come, and they're taking, a week out of their life, usually traveling from another country. And I always feel a lot of pressure to make sure that I give them the most out of the course. And but so far, it's always been good.
Yeah, but I also feel like what was really great about it is that you made sure to really check in with me first, and we talked about my skills and the background and what my expectations were, so we could kind of really make sure that both of us were happy with the end result.
Right.
And when I know that you told me that most of your students like to go home with a bag or like a big cool product, right. And I really like that you kind of took my expectation of learning lots of different techniques and not doing like a whole big thing, but really more.
Yeah, we did like two smaller projects with you, right?
We did two small, and like lots of little fragments that I took home with the piping, with sewing in zippers, with we also did like a example of how you put on a handle. So I learned all the techniques, although I didn't make like a full big bag.
Right.
And I really like that you kind of are able to make the course really individual for whatever expectations you might have or whatever you want to learn.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because so many people, I mean, we're not all, everyone's not trying to do the same thing or have the same goal. Some people already know certain things really well and are more focused on, like they make lots of wallets or small things, and they really want to be focused on how to make a big bag and about all the reinforcements and the patterns and all that kind of stuff. And other people come knowing absolutely nothing, and they want you to guide them. So it's best just to do it very custom made for each teacher, or for each student. And so what was your biggest takeaway from the course? What do you think you got from it?
That's actually a bit a cheesy answer, but apart from all of the technical skills, I really took away from me to see like the vision I kind of have for myself, to see that how you made that already happen with your own atelier and with all the years of work you put into it. So I kind of felt very inspired and motivated that there's someone out there that made it happen.
or is trying to make it happen. I think it's never ending.
It's never ending, true. But yeah, that was something very valuable for me, and to kind of form my own vision of how I want to build up my own atelier. But apart from that, because I also got one question: what improvements did you see after the course from Alex? And is it basically everything improved? The stitching, the edge paint, the edge work, the cutting, like everything. I feel like I got so much knowledge also about suppliers, about different tanneries. Like, you answered every single question I had.
Good. I tried to.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of students that have done courses before, that have had other teachers, and sometimes students are scared to ask me certain things. I'm like, yeah, well, just ask me, I'll answer anything. Like, yeah, but my other teacher wouldn't give out this information, or they wouldn't show me this. And I said, well, that's not really fair. You're here. That's my job, is to teach you everything that I know about leatherworking. That's what you're paying.
No, but I was really impressed that you were so open about really everything. Like, because it probably took you a quite amount of time to get to know all these things. And then here comes...
Yes, especially in like pre-social media in Instagram days. Back when I first started, I mean, first of all, there was almost no leather crafting community. It was like Hermes making stuff and like a few random crafts people scattered around the world, but there was no, at least not that I knew of, and certainly not as big as it is today. Yeah. And so then you really had to, like, I mean, people just send me a message on Instagram, say, hey, what tannery is this leather from? And I tell them, but I couldn't just send, Hermes a message and say, hey, where's that Togo from? I mean,
please
they're not going to answer me. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, at the beginning, it was super, super hard just to find out, where to get the edge paint, where to get tools, and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and I think that's why like your students are so impressed and happy with all these information that they get from you.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So we want to try and answer some questions for people.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we answered Sean's. Let's scroll through. Hello, from Mirrodin Designs. Hello, are all the leathers you use in your products vegetable tanned, or do you prefer chrome tanned? Well, I personally use a lot of chrome tanned leathers, but I also use some veg tanned leathers. I don't have, a super big preference. There's advantages and disadvantages, or pros and cons of each. Yeah. It just depends a lot what the client wants. I would say, yeah, veg tan you can work it really well with the creasing and cutting, and it's very, very precise. So no mistakes allowed. It's not very forgiving. Yeah. Whereas chrome tanned, if it's not so perfect, you can stretch it a little bit, but it doesn't hold the creases as well normally, and it has, it's not as precise to work with as veg tanned. Yeah. Plus, you got to be a lot more careful with veg tan, that you're not scratching it or making a mark on it. Yeah. Plus, you're working mostly with chrome tanned, right?
The bags I'm making right now are vegetable tan leather. Okay. And all of the other things are chrome tanned. So, but that's exactly what you said is what my experience is. You have to be super careful with vegetable tan, and you can scratch it easily. And yeah, you always treat it like a little baby.
Right.
Yeah.
No edge paint spills.
Yeah. No. All right. When will there be other video tutorials available?
I guess that one's for me. Yeah. Hopefully very soon. I know I've been promising it for a long, long time. The truth is I had a major problem with the agency that created my website. I won't go into that story. Some of you already know it, but it was something that set me back basically a year and a half. But everything is more or less up and running now, and the tutorials, you guys know that Julian, my new craftsman that I stole from Hermes, is on his way, and he starts March 2nd. Yay. So when he's here, we'll be able to create a lot more faster, and it will give me more time for tutorials, and will also give me a cameraman for my tutorials.
Yeah, that's good.
He doesn't know it yet. He's going to be the new cameraman. Wow. I see Nancy Jarnecke Bags. I see she makes a comment, but she sent me a message before, so I'm going to read it. Mm-hmm. And her question is, if the market and your target clientele didn't allow for your current pricing, and you could only capture a fraction of that price, would you continue to hand sew or start machine stitching to be more cost effective? So that's a very interesting one.
It is.
Because I hand sew because I love doing it. It's really, for me, more fun than machine sewing. Yeah, it's a hypothetical, luckily, because luckily I'm able to hand sew everything and sell it. But if there was no other option, then yeah, I guess I would have to.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do right now. I'm kind of in between. So for some projects, I mix hand stitching and machine stitching. Mm. Yeah, but I've asked myself that exact same question before.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, when you're doing like a big weekender and you have to sew, the lining panels together, and it's like, 5 meters of boring stitching that a machine can do in like literally under 1 minute, and you spend, an hour and a half stitching that together, then you question, does it really make sense? And no, it actually doesn't really make sense. It's more, for me, at least for me, it's more just my philosophy is to saddle stitch everything. So I kind of, just for my own sake, I do everything.
And you did that right from the beginning, right?
I did that right from the beginning, also because at that time I didn't have a sewing machine. I have one now, just because sometimes I'll use it quickly to, just stitch up a prototype, or sometimes people bring me repairs that you can't really do with that's easier to do with a sewing machine. So I'll use it for that. But I mean, I like this. I like the sewing machine. It's fun. I don't use it that much. I'm not that good at using it. But yeah, I guess if the world was in such a place for me where I couldn't survive only saddle stitching, then I would have to make the compromises. But not that I don't want to say that machine stitched bags are bad, or they're a bad alternative to saddle stitching. It's just something different. Everyone has what they like doing and what they prefer. I mean, machine stitching, the end customer, when you machine stitch correctly with an angled saddle stitch type needle, then the average end consumer can't tell the difference. It looks identical. Yeah. So it's just more from a craftsman perspective, which you are better at or feel more comfortable doing. And it also is a big cost thing. Most of my stuff is exotics, which command a higher price, so I can afford to. But if you're making, a calf skin bag that's going to take you, 500 hours to make hand stitched, and you can only sell it for $900, then it obviously doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's definitely good to learn both, I think. That
yeah,
would
for
make
sure.
you more flexible, and
for sure.
kind of puts you in a position where you are able to react to your market and your customer. So
exactly.
Learn both.
Yes, I'm trying.
Me too. Okay. Wait.
Let's see what's next.
Mm-hmm. Hi. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
someone says there's a specific place for questions. So if this little, see the question mark thing under there? If you click on it. Okay, here we go. Someone says, you find it?
No, I think it's only you can see it.
Only me, okay. Someone says, do you use Croco skin from neck to tail? Yes, I do. Different parts of the croc are good for different things. Usually the belly is you want for the main panels because you have the center line, the symmetrical scales. The tail is really amazing for handles. So like for tubular handles, for edging, things like that. It's really good. And the head is also good for lots of different things, like if you have small details like the handle patches or patches for the straps. So you can really use almost every single part.
That's awesome.
So you don't see any of these questions, Kathi?
I do see the normal comments.
Okay, then you can take the next one.
What will be your best tip for edging?
Let's see if you remember what I taught you.
It starts off with the perfect cut, I'd say. So if you mess that up, it will be so much harder to get the perfect edge. So get really sharp tools or replaceable
blades.
Yeah, blades. To really have an amazing sharp cutter. And then what I've learned from you, what's really elevated my edge work is use of fileteuse. Is that the right pronunciation? Fileteuse. Mm-hmm. And then it's just lots of sanding. Like
most important thing is prepping the edge before you put the paint on first. That will make your world completely different. Sand it, make sure your edge is as perfect and smooth and the layers of leather are even before you start putting that first edge coat on. And then that's how you get the best edge. It makes, I mean, a lot of people think that the edge paint is there to even out your layers, but no, that's not. It's the edge paint is there just to protect your finished edges. So yeah, make it smooth first.
Yeah. And I was going to say something, and then I forgot.
I'll look for the next question while you.
Yeah, and also what I thought prior to your course is that you do like 1 or 2 coats of edge paint, and then you're done. And what I learned from you is that that's not the case. Like you can go on forever and ever and make it more perfect, make it more perfect. But it's definitely, for me, it's usually 3 or 4 coats, sanding coats. That kind of works best for me because I also get questions. I've also gotten questions like, how many coats do you do?
Yeah, I usually do 3. I do like a base coat that soaks in, and then I crease it after that so everything's pulled together tight, and then do a light sanding to take off any little bits of glue that have squeezed out during that or any rough spots. Then I do a nice smooth layer on that, let it dry well, sand it well, then put another coat on and either leave that or, you know, sand it with a really fine sandpaper and then go over with the fileteuse to smooth it out and finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Avianda Design asks, are there any papers needed to legally sell leather goods made of exotic skins? Good question. Yes, there are. And these discussions often come up whenever I post elephant skins or something that might seem shocking to people. Mm-hmm. But all of these exotic skins are extremely, extremely regulated, and they're all very sustainable. That's one of the big misconceptions about it. Let's say in the early 70s, alligators were nearly going extinct. So that's when they set up the CITES program for anything that's endangered, whether it's wildlife or plants or things like that. And the alligator system they set up was that hunters gather the eggs because you can't breed alligators in captivity. So they gather all the eggs because actually a lot of those eggs are eaten in the wild by predators. So they save all these eggs, they hatch them out, and then they release a part back into the wild, and then they raise the rest on the farm. So they do this every year, and because of that, the population of alligators has exploded again. And they do the same with the elephant. Like the elephant skins I'm using, they're not just going and, you know, shooting random elephants or breeding them in captivity for the skin. What they do is they're trying to grow the herd. And when the older males reach or go past mating age, they get aggressive towards the younger males and kill the younger males oftentimes. So they need to cull the older males from the herd, which means kill them. So that protects the younger males, so the younger males can breed and the population can expand. Mm-hmm. So the alligators or the elephant skins I use are from these older males that are culled or naturally dying elephants. So all of this is really sustainable and helps the populations of these endangered species grow. I mean, alligators aren't even endangered anymore.
Yeah.
So, but yes, you do need papers. Every single skin I get has a number that goes along with it. It's attached to the hide from the moment it's been, left the tannery or the farm, all the way through when it goes to the tannery to me. And when I make a bag out of it, then I have to register this bag officially, like transforming the skins into this bag, and then it goes to the client. So everything is very highly regulated.
Yeah, that's so good,
and
though.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's not the case with other skins, so it's actually amazing.
Trust me, I'd rather be an alligator living on a farm to become a handbag than to be a cow living on a farm giving milk. So
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have one?
Just reading was just reading that when crossing the borders, people with leather goods made of exotic skins can be stopped and checked. Yes, that's true. And I always tell my clients it's very important that you understand the laws for the countries you're going into. A lot of people think they need a CITES to carry their bags. That's not true. A CITES paper, that's a trade document. So that means it's like an international trade document. So if I sell a bag to you, Kathi, in Germany, then I need to make a CITES where it shows the transfer of ownership from that exotic bag from me to you. That's all. Once you own that bag and you're carrying it around wherever you're flying, you don't need to have that paper with you because you're a private person. Different countries have different rules. Like I think Germany, you can take 3 pieces of exotic skin on you when you travel going in. I think Switzerland has 5. Different countries have different amounts. So you can have your own private crocodile belt, or crocodile wallet, crocodile bag. No problem. You don't need CITES for this. The only time you need CITES is when you're doing, when you're trading internationally with those things. So if you were taking 5 croc bags to sell, then you would need to have the CITES going over the border. So that's, and honestly, lots of border control people do not know these laws. So it's important that you know them so that when they confront you with this, that you're able to calmly explain to them what it is, because we all know how border control people can be, and you don't want to, throw attitude at them. You just want to be calm and informed, and that's the safest way. But yes, you can be checked, and you can just show that it's your, it's your own private goods, and there's no problem with that. Just don't be decked out in like crocodile jacket, shoes, belt, watch strap, 5 wallets, because then you might have a problem.
Peter, hello from Russia. You're my muse. Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
Thanks for replying to this question.
So Yusuko says, I tell everything except where to get giant lizard skins. Yes, because giant lizard skins are so hard to get, and it's my favorite thing, and everyone's got to have at least 1 or 2 secrets. So yes, I'm not going to tell. I don't need competition for getting my giant lizard skins, and I also don't tell where I get my 1 kind of canvas strap.
Okay.
Those are some trade secrets, sorry.
Fair enough. How many prototypes do you make before you finalize the design and construction? That's a hard one because I am so crazy about patterns and design and proportions. So I easily make 10 prototypes, easily. Sometimes more.
I'm the exact opposite. I absolutely loathe having to make patterns.
Yeah.
And so I actually almost never make a prototype.
Oh, really?
I just go straight to it.
I
cut the I just go straight to cutting the pattern. And if the pattern works out, then I know more or less from experience where the pitfalls or problems might be. And if I think that, like for the messenger or the crossbody bag I did in this kind of terracotta croc, where I did this weird construction where it's partially turned, partially in. I'd never done that before. So, but instead of making a whole prototype, I just, I made that corner where it switches from turned to outside stitching just to make sure it works and to see exactly how many millimeters and everything.
But how do you know that the proportions will look good? It's just kind of experience?
Yeah. I mean, I see when I make, when I cut the pattern and everything, I see more or less how it's going to look.
Okay. So maybe I will do less in a few years.
I know it's definitely a good idea to make a prototype or a few if you enjoy it. But
yeah,
I just don't enjoy it.
I just love the design process, and I love because as I'm a pattern maker, I love pattern making. It's just, I don't know. I love to readjust things and then measure again and then make the pattern again so the pattern itself looks perfect. That's kind of my thing, I guess. Okay.
Good.
Right.
What manual splitting machine works well with soft leather, or would that rather be for stiff leather? Okay, so I, years ago, bought one of these small manual splitting machines, not realizing that it just works for hard veg tan leathers. It doesn't work for chrome leathers. They're too soft. You have to have like a normal, what are they called? Like a normal Fortuna splitting machine. What's the blade? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, one of the big real industrial splitting machines is what you need.
Yeah.
Sadly, because they're crazy expensive.
Yeah, I just made that big investment last year. I also got a Fortuna, but it's
for the Skyver, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, so
yeah. I'm talking about a splitter, like where you can like lay the whole skin or like a big panel, and it just goes through and splits it to the exact.
That's even more expensive.
Oh yeah, that's like 30,000 euros expensive.
Great. So. Yeah.
Tips or rules for using reinforcement or a good source to learn. That's not an easy thing to answer. Mm-hmm. That's just because that varies so much depending on what model you're doing, what size, what kind of leathers you're using, how stiff or soft you want it, and there's so many different kinds of reinforcements.
Yeah,
there's no easy answer to that.
And I also feel like you kind of get the feedback only if the reinforcement is working by wearing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So after, I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year, you kind of see where the bag is holding its shape or where it's not, and then only then you kind of know, oh well, I should have reinforced that part more or
exactly.
less.
Yeah, a lot of it comes from just experience and knowing, okay, for this model it worked well, and this new model I'm doing is similar, I want the similar kind of reinforcement. Yeah, it's just playing around with it and figuring out what works best.
Yeah.
Someone asked how we make final treatment before sending to the customer. This is a good one for you because you like to do all these fancy preparations before shipping to your client.
Do I? What?
Yeah, you always like to do all the nice packaging and making sure the client feels special. That's
true. I really enjoy showing the process on Instagram as well. So that's my kind of sustainable mission to show a transparent production from start to finish. Mm-hmm. So that's like kind of one part. I always like to take a nice picture and send a little note. I always write a little letter to my customers. I don't know, I clean the hardware. I wrap up everything really nicely, and that, I think, like the packaging itself, like wrapping it up and putting it in a box itself takes probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, it takes lots of time.
Yeah.
But it's super important because it's their first impression when they open it up, and you sometimes forget as the maker, you've had the whole joy making the whole thing, and you've been around it for like a week or two making it, but you forget that the client is anticipating getting it, and for them it's big excitement to open that package and see it for the first time. So I think nice packaging is always good.
Yeah, true. Let's see. I have some questions on before I got before. One I really liked is what motivates you on a daily basis to keep crafting, although, especially at the beginning, you don't see a lot of success. And for me, I always say, like I tell my friends that are also self-entrepreneurs or that are getting interested in that, is like you have to be your own cheerleader every day. Like there's no one that's gonna wake you up or that will tell you to do this or to work harder or to work longer. Like you have to find an internal inspiration, motivation to keep going and kind of find the trust in seeing other people, like how they made it, and also see how they failed or how they had mishaps? Is the word? Yeah. So that's kind of part of the process of you growing. Yeah.
I agree. There's no easy way for 99.9% of people. It's just really hard work. And I think the only way it works is if you just have to have that passion for it internally.
Yes.
You can't just look at something and say, oh, I want to be a singer because it looks really cool to be a pop star. You have to like have this passion to sing. You have to be able to sing. You have to want to sing on the street, even if it's embarrassing. All these things. That's the only people that really have success. It has to be like a driving force from within you. And I mean, from my personal experience, that's the hard part at the beginning is for all of us leather crafters is getting people to give you their money, because there's a million big brands out there that spend billions of dollars promoting their product, convincing people to buy it. So why should I buy it from Boem? Who is Boem? Why should I spend my money with her? Why should I spend my money with Peter Nitz? So at the beginning, it's always a struggle even now, but it's gotten better as time goes on. So yeah, you have to. It's for sure. There's endless discouraging days where it's just frustrating, but you can't focus so much on that. You just have to. If you're doing what you truly love, if what's your passion, then you almost can't not do it. You have to do it.
That's how I feel.
So yeah. And then beyond that, it's just being self-aware. Is what I'm doing good? Is what I'm doing what people want? Yeah, I mean, you can be the best singer in the world, or you can be the shittiest singer in the world, thinking you're the best, and you're not gonna have much success. So if you think you're the best leather worker in the world, but no one's buying anything and it's not working, you have to, I think self-awareness is really important. Not just telling yourself, I can be whatever I want, I can do whatever I want. Yes, you can, but with that comes self-awareness of what it is you're producing. And
yeah. All right. Do you have another question?
Where did you learn this job, and where did you work if it's not secret? Well, I only ever worked for myself. I learned this because I was in Paris and I met someone who works at Hermes, and they just taught me the basics of like how to saddle stitch and how to edge finish. And then I just taught myself the rest. I did things like, I looked at lots of bags from major brands, see how they were constructed, what kind of leathers they used. I always followed the market of what kind of bags were popular, what people liked and didn't like about them. I have to disclose that I had another business before this, reselling vintage luxury goods. So I had the luck that I had lots of these things coming through my hands all the time, and it was easy for me to look at them and inspect them and see them when they're used and see what was good quality and bad quality. I bought lots of stuff at flea markets and took the bags apart so that I could see how reinforcements were done, how construction was done. So lots of stuff like that. Just That's no, I mean, it's just like anything. If you're interested in it, you just devour the information wherever you can find it.
That's true.
That's what you got to do. You? Other than from me? And this first course you took that was, you said it was like a traditional, like saddlery, like tack.
Yeah, it
course.
was also hand stitching, but it was more like the kind of things you do for saddles and a really thick kind of, yeah, saddlery is like
So like heavy veg tan leather and... Yeah.
Yes, okay. Exactly. And now that's kind of how I got into the whole thing, the really basic thing, but it was not specializing in luxury leathercraft.
Okay.
And only through you, I kind of noticed that what I really wanted to do was this craft. That before that, I didn't really know the difference. I think my mom also helped me a lot because she picked up a lot of things from my grandpa, and he was just always trying and I don't know, just figuring it out. And then she picked up a lot of things by him, and I just really try a lot.
That's the best.
Yeah. And then also wear things and get feedback from customers, really listen to what they say, what they like, what they don't like. And then don't take it personal when something doesn't sell, but rather figure out
why exactly.
Yeah, what did they not like about it, or how could I make it better? Yeah. Yeah,
that's the frustrating thing is oftentimes things that you create that are maybe inventive or different, no one wants. That's sadly the reality. People want what's popular and what everyone else has for the majority of people, let's say. So
yeah,
sometimes even if it doesn't get a good response, then it doesn't mean it's bad, but it means that, it's just not right for that moment.
True. And you can also, I feel like you always learn from any kind of product or any new development you make, even if you're not using that specific design,
right.
You kind of figured out something that you could use in another product or another
exactly.
design.
Exactly,
yeah.
Someone writes, is saddle stitch not better than machine stitch? Technically, yes, it's stronger because you have one thread that's going in and out from each side, whereas with machine stitching, you have two threads that just loop in the middle. So if one side gets broken, then you can just pull out the other side very easily. So yes, saddle stitching is more secure and stronger.
Yeah. I think I'm a little further down than you are, but it's all right. Hello, Peter. Can we expect a book from you in the future? Or is that?
I have a lot of things in the works. How long it's going to take, we'll see.
I know.
How do you sharpen your knife correctly? That's a good question. One I would like to know. Can't answer that. I'm terrible at sharpening.
Yeah, my mom just did a course on sharpening.
Okay.
Like a whole weekend course. But it requires a lot of practice. So you will probably not be able to take that course and immediately all your tools are perfectly sharp. You can also do, what's the word? You can undo your sharpness.
You can dull your knife?
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I love to use the reusable blades.
I know.
I
know. One day when I have time, I want to do a knife sharpening course because it's really important. It makes your life so much easier when cutting stuff. So now I just have to live with my disposable blades and semi-sharp knives.
Yep, me too.
Preferred edge beveler size. I like FN3 is what I normally use.
Yeah.
Except when I do James Banks straps, these very narrow straps, I do FN2.
Oh yeah, because I had the question, can you explain what the FN2 tip is used for versus the FN3 tip? So that's kind of the answer.
Yeah, that's just a aesthetic preference. Just the one is wider than the other. So on small items, maybe you want to use the FN2.
Yeah.
I think it looks more refined, more elegant. But in general, I use FN3.
Okay.
Someone loves the elephant. That's nice. The tactful traveler loves elephant. Turtle Leather says they're overpopulating here in the US.
Yeah.
I don't know if he means turtles or alligator, because I just read an article about turtles taking over populations because everyone keeps throwing their pet turtles when they get tired of them in lakes over in the US, and now they're overrunning the natural populations.
People.
So, turtle skin bags, I don't think are going to be doable. What's the right temperature for ironing the edge paint? If it starts bubbling, does it mean the temperature is too high? From Best Locker. Good question. I can only answer that for the kind of edge paint I use, because every brand has, different chemical composition, so you might have different temperatures. I use uniters, and for me, the perfect temperature is when on your edge creaser, your filetous, it just has numbers, and it can vary from machine to machine. Like my brother-in-law, on his, when it's on 3, the temperature is the same as when mine is on 8. So you can't give a specific number. Yeah. But if you turn it up so that the tip, the part that starts glowing orange, when it's just
wire, right?
Yeah, where the wire's wrapped around the middle, the shaft of it, when it's just barely turning orange, when you're using uniters, that's the perfect temperature. Mm-hmm. And yes, if it starts bubbling up, that means it's too high. Yeah. And then you have to sand it all off, because then it's ruined.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Hi to Renee, Mr. Van Vienen from Amsterdam.
Hi. I don't know where we were. Are you able to keep track?
Someone asked where their question is. It's gone. I don't know.
Yeah. My kind of discussion. You guys rock. Yay.
How do you protect your designs? What do you do when you see your design being copied? Ooh, there's a good question.
Ooh, that hasn't happened to me yet. So,
it's happened
to you?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. But there's basically nothing you can do copying your designs, because if you could do something, Hermes would have done something, because everyone is copying and making fake Birkins and Kellys, and there's basically nothing they can do about it. Yeah, bag designs you can't really copyright. All someone has to do is change very slight detail, and it's not the same thing. So all you can do is just continue focusing on what you're doing and be happy that you're the one being copied and not the one doing the copying.
But that's also why I feel it's so important to build up your brand, not only do nice products, because people will always also buy into the brand. And the brand is really hard to copy. Like, what makes you very unique in your own personal, if you have an own atelier, that like you're the one making it. So always try to sell yourself as well a little bit with the product and the brand.
Sure, people aren't buying just the product; they're buying the whole history, the whole brand story, and the feeling and everything that goes with it. So
yeah.
Lots of people don't like pattern making.
I know though. It can be a pain, especially if you had to pick it up yourself. I would imagine it's way harder to get into it.
And if you're bad at math, also.
True. You have to be very precise.
Someone says, when you started this, or someone, Pocoso2 says, when you started this, was it hard for you guys to make money?
So hard.
Yes, it's very hard. Exceptionally hard. Because you spend, first of all, the materials are expensive.
All the tools.
It's not like if you pick up pottery, you know, clay costs nothing. You can screw up as much clay as you want and it's cost you $10. Leather is expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would suggest having another job while you pursue leather working.
Yeah.
The only way, or a sugar daddy or a sugar mama.
Yeah, a good support system is always handy,
Yeah.
like, for whatever reason. But yeah, that's what would also be my advice. But kind of I feel like for every kind of startup thing, it's always good to have a little backup system and something that
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Along the way.
For sure.
Yeah. I think we only have 10 minutes left, just saying.
Is there a limit to live?
It's 1 hour, I think, and then you can, you can do another live, but
Okay.
that one will close down.
Okay, we'll see when they kick us out.
Yeah.
Smart Click asks, Peter, can you explain the Nitz technique a bit? Are the length of stitches closer at the curves and wider spread at the sides? I'm still not sure about when you stitch gussets. Okay, so what they're talking about is when you have the curve at the bottom of a bag, that obviously the holes outside are going to be further apart than the holes inside going around. So that's the one you always see where I stick all the needles in to line them up. The thing with the needles is just kind of like a trick to make it easier for you. It's kind of difficult to explain. We'd use the rest of our live time here if I explained it all. But another thing you can do just to make it easier is when you install the gusset, punch the holes through everything on the straight sides and stop when you get to the curve. And then you can, with the awl, make the other holes from the outside in. That way you don't have to try and line up holes or figure out how much closer the holes have to be in. So you just make those by hand.
So you punch through both layers?
On the straight section of the bag.
Yeah.
And then where it starts to curve, don't have the holes punched there. Only on the outside panel, of course. You've already pre-punched the holes. Yeah. And with that, then you can go in with the awl as you stitch and make the holes on the inside so they automatically go exactly where they're supposed to go.
I will try that.
I know it's difficult to explain.
Yeah,
here.
I got it though.
Yeah.
So one person learned.
Is there a formula for getting the gusset to fit perfectly? Yeah, make a prototype of the gusset section with your exact thicknesses and everything. What I usually do is I take the same exact measurement. If you have the length of your outside panel, and then when I make the gusset pattern, I make it exactly the same length. Obviously, that's going to be just a tiny bit too big, and then I test it and cut it down just a little bit to make sure it fits exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know a perfect formula as the pattern cutting lover you are?
I measure like the what's the word? Die Strecken.
The distance?
Yeah, the distance. I make sure to measure them at least, I don't know, 5 to 6 times to make it fit on the millimeter. And then I make little marks on certain points where the parts really have to align. And that kind of helps me to really make sure that I match the pattern perfectly.
Okay, I think we're talking about two different things though. I was talking about like when you're making the pattern for the gusset, and you're talking about when you're actually putting the gusset in to sew.
No, I also have these marks on the pattern. I also have these marks on the pattern.
Okay. But how do you figure out what size it has to be?
Oh, the stitching size, you mean?
No, how do you know what size you're going to make the gusset that it fits the measurement that it's going to fit in? Because the inside thing is always a little bit smaller than the outside.
Yeah. I don't know. I make it work. I never really thought about that into a more detailed way.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
But what I thought you were talking about then is when you actually glue in the gusset. With that, I always, and maybe that's what they're asking as well. Maybe I misunderstood his question. But when I put it in, I mark like the center on the bottom of the main panel and the gusset. And then if it's longer piece, then like every 10 centimeters, and make sure that those always line up. And then I do the corners last.
Yes, that's what I do. Corners last, definitely. Yeah.
So top, both ends, the middle first, and then work down the straight areas, and then work out to the corners.
Yeah. All right.
Where do you see our time limit on here?
I don't think you can see it. It might be. We started at 1.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just kick us out at 2.
5 minutes later.
Yeah.
They'll give us a warning.
I don't know, but yeah, that might happen.
Peter, are you generally passionate about crafting? Yes, definitely. I always want to make something, anything. Wow, there's just something crazy fun about making stuff. I don't care what it is.
It's really satisfying to create something with your own hands, and then you see a product after a few days, a few weeks.
Oh God, there's some big questions that might be too long for our, like, how did you build your business and what do you do for branding yourself?
We should do a separate video on that one.
Yeah, let's do a separate one on that.
Because it's such a huge thing. You can always, because there's so many questions, you can DM me or him, and then if we feel like there's a lot of interest in this kind of conversations, we can do it again, or we can do a separate video about certain topics.
For sure.
It's fun. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, why not? Let's see if we can scroll through some quick last minute ones.
Okay.
Do you use silver pen on Croco leather? Sure, but I always test it first to make sure it doesn't leave a mark. I actually don't like silver pen that much because my silver pens never mark, and then sometimes they don't come off so perfectly. I don't know. I try to avoid them, but sometimes you need to use them.
I really like to use them, but it's true that on some you always have to test and make sure that it really comes off, because in some colors it won't come off.
I hate lining. It always feels like I'm making a second bag. How do you view it? Yeah, I agree. I'm more excited about the outside of the bag than the inside when I'm making it, because I feel like it's like, yeah, it's the same thing with like zipper pulls. I try and do them first because I hate when I'm nearing finishing a bag, but then I realize, oh shit, I got to do the zipper pulls. Then it like feels like it slows down my momentum towards the end. So I try and do all those at the beginning.
Someone says, please save this live in your highlights.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah.
Yes, I think it will ask you once it's finished. Well, do you want to save it? And then it's saved for 24 hours.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
How to know if you have good tension? I'm assuming she means when you're stitching. That just comes with feeling, but you can feel when you're pulling the thread apart like this, you're looking down at your stitching, you can feel when it's really firm and the leather doesn't move at all. Like when you pull it tight, it just goes like this together instead of like maybe pulling one way or the other, then your tension is off. If you're pulling evenly and you have good tension, it just really, it's a very good feeling once you get it.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, I'd say.
Yeah. You can choose it.
Favorite leather to work with?
I think everyone knows mine.
I haven't used all of them, so I can't really. There's so much more for me to experience. But I really loved using goatskin currently.
Yep. Shout out to Jerome at Allron, who has the best goatskin. And goatskin is amazing to work with. I love it.
Yeah, me too. It's a great way.
That always goes along. I always use it with my alligator as the lining. So that's, I guess, my second favorite leather.
Yeah, great.
So we have 1 minute left.
Does it say now? Or no?
No, it's almost.
I kind of do. I mean, an hour is kind of a good length. All right. Thank you
It
so
actually
much,
went fast. It
everyone.
went super fast.
It went super fast. I know.
Yeah.
Crazy. Thank you so much, though, for everyone tuning in and listening.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I think we'll probably do it again sometime. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Now we more or less know what we're doing.
Yeah. Kind of. It's
Okay.
fun. All right.
Great. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks,
Have a good
Kathi.
weekend.